Hello OboeFiles, and welcome to another Technique Tuesday in which we learn about oboe technique on a Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that somebody requested in the comments of a different video, and that is downward slurs. So, let's get into it. Downward slurs can be tough on the oboe because of the change in resistance between the different registers. Sometimes these wide slurs just seem like they will not come out smoothly. You might get something that cuts out. You might get something where it's impossible to get the smoothness between the slurs. Now the first thing to check is your reed. If the reed's not very good, if it's too closed, it'll be impossible to slur, especially down in any sort of smooth manner. You need to have something that will take the air and take the gradient of air that you need to accomplish this. If you need a supply of good reeds, you can check out the description below. I sell reeds on OboeFiles.com. I hand make every single one and test it, disinfect it, and send it off. And I feel like people sound pretty good on them. But first thing is to make sure that your reed is working. If the reed's not working and you don't need a more open reed, if you're making your reeds, that's easy to change. Just change the diameter of cane you're using. You may need to use a smaller diameter of tube cane, and that'll create a way bigger opening. Now be careful, because a little bit goes a long way with this. A little change of diameter, maybe even a micrometer or two in the radius, is a huge difference in the opening of the reed. Now let's say that you have good reeds and it's still difficult. The issue is you're not compensating for the resistance well. So let's use the etude in the Bear book, number 4. I'm going to use mine from the Geckler book, which I think is a great method book to learn from. Looks like this. And I'll have a link in the description below if you would like to purchase that book. But for now, let's use Bear etude number 4. And we'll examine what we have in store for slurs. And then I'll show you an exercise to help you work on these downward slurs outside of music, just to help your rudiments. Like your fundamentals. Okay, so a lot of slurring in this etude, and the way that we accomplish these slurs is to think about the note before the leap. So I'm looking at measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where we have a downward slur from an E all the way down to a G. So we want to practice that slur. Now first I'm going to hold the G to think about where I need to be voicing for that G. I need to be voicing up a little bit. And it's a lower note. Whereas for the E, I need to be voicing down. So I'm going to open up for the E, and then I'm going to voice up with my tongue for the G without clenching up with my mouth. I want to make sure the mouth is still very open, and I'm thinking about pressing this way with the embouchure instead of this way. So I'm opening the sides of the reed with my mouth. So I'm thinking, with my tongue, but I'm thinking, like open, on the way down to the G with my mouth. Oops. So that when it's in context, it can be smooth. Now, let's say that's all well and good, but we want to know how to practice this so it's not just in the confines of the C major, F major etude. We want to get past this one F major etude and be able to do it anywhere in music. So here is the last exercise for slurring that I want to show you. And if you haven't already slurred your way into destroying the like button below, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So the way I'm going to practice it is with a scale. We're going to be in C major, but you can do this with any key. And we're just going to go down from the tonic down to each scale step until we get back down to the tonic. Now in between each one, just pay attention very closely to the intonation and the smoothness between each of the intervals. So that was a little jerky. For the next one, I'm going to try to really get the notes, like the taffy in between the interval. And we'll try it. We'll see how successful it is. I'm not sure yet. Ooh. Then you might spend time on each interval until it feels really smooth to you. That was better. Now C major is a little bit of a hard one, so you might want to try other scales, and I promise it'll be easier, even though C major seems like it would be an easy key. Let's try a couple in D major. So that's easier to get smooth. So you might try starting in D major and then moving to C major when you have a little bit more experience. But that's how I would practice these downward slurs, keeping the voicing only in the throat and not doing so much voicing with the tightening of the embouchure. You want to make sure the embouchure is structured and strong, but open enough, and that, of course, your jaw is open enough to allow for the downward slur to be smooth. Relaxed playing is always better than tight playing. And of course, when in doubt, play beautifully.